Bleak, vacant, impossibly vast. Abandoned city stretches as far as the eye can see. If I had to describe the environments of Girls' Last Tour in a single phrase, it would be, "This is so cool." Girls' Last Tour is an anime series, from a manga of the same name, about two girls traveling an empty world. It might at first seem familiar to some other massive environments like the game Naissance or the manga Blame. YouTuber Jacob Geller did a really good video on those two, but there is a key difference between those worlds and Girls' Last Tour that makes Tour much more interesting to me. The architecture in Blame defies scale and was not made for humans. The architecture in Girls' Last Tour was explicitly made at the human scale. Rather than an abstraction of form, you can look at everything in Girls' Last Tour and see a specific human use. The post-apocalypse is well-trodden ground for storytelling, but there's generally a common theme in these works: working to rebuild. The main concern of a post-apocalyptic story is the kind of civilization that could arise after the fall of man. In Planet of the Apes, it's, well, apes. The Fallout series has the Super Mutants' attempts to establish a new order. Mad Max looked at the same sort of nuclear desert and said, "What if leather and cars?" One of the most philosophical examples, Nier Automata, has both the androids and machine life forms exploring what it means to grow and change, fascinated by the remnants of humanity despite humans no longer being present on the Earth. Even specifically abandoned superstructures are not unique. The classic sci-fi novel Ringworld is about the exploration of the titular Ring, a human supercolony now derelict and drifting in space. But even the Ringworld is still populated by primitive tribes, now with no idea what they're living on. In Girls' Last Tour, there will be no recovery for Earth. The entire world in Tour has been terraformed and then abandoned, with no hope of reversing course. There is no nature left in the cities. Food was made from plants grown in massive ration factories. Fish were confined to aquarium tanks. While everywhere, buildings were made to house untold numbers of people. During the anime, the girls ascend several layers of the city, but we don't know what layer they started on or how much higher there is to go. But there's no signs that things might be different elsewhere. What is left functional in the world is solely machinery that is unchanging. I specifically brought up Nier Automata before, because it has only machines left remaking the world.
It's almost like it had actual emotion.
The machines don't have feelings.
But the machines in Tour have no such capacity. They can destroy what exists or maintain functions, but they cannot build. Only humans can create. The episode Takeoff was for me the most powerful moment of the series. There are always new firsts in our lives, but we are always afraid of a definitive end, be it the last time we do something meaningful or the inevitable last breath. Takeoff features the last flight of humanity. Not just the last desperate attempts to escape from a lone woman who has worked years for this moment, but the last grasp for the freedom of the skies by all mankind. So now I should explain the title of this video. It's two large and uncommon words that perfectly describe Girls' Last Tour. Ecumenopolis means world city. This is a concept typically only seen in science fiction for galactic capitals or completely artificial planets. Think Coruscant from Star Wars, or Trantor from the Foundation series. While it's not clear if there is anything left between the cities in Tour, we certainly do not see it. The idea of a vertical city is generally considered to date back to this cartoon from 1909 by A.B. Walker, but the idea was popularized decades later by Rem Koolhaas. While green roofs do exist today, it's still very rare to find elevated ground levels fit for growing plants. And the idea of an outdoor ground level set in the sky sets apart a layered city from just a simple apartment tower. In Girls' Last Tour, of course, there is no nature left on these new ground levels. Then we have Anthropocene, which is a term that's only becoming more relevant. It was coined to describe the phase of world history where humans have had a dominant influence over nature. Climate change aside, the amount of plastics and other non-decomposable material in the environment will mark humanity's presence on Earth for millennia to come. We have not reshaped the entire planet into a superstructure yet, but there is irrefutable proof that we have been here. Lastly, I had a particular interest in the presentation of Girls' Last Tour, because my senior project was a hypothetical design for such a superstructure. Obviously, I did not plan for it to become humanity's grave, but I really appreciated a lot of the ways that Tor presents its world, because I had also thought about how to visually present such a world. Look at these two shots, a sunset framed between two plates. I obviously had very different ideas from Sukumizu, the author of Girls' Last Tour, but I think we both grasp on the same ideas of the scale of the world and what would be very interesting things to look at in that scale. Or I'm looking for an excuse to feel self-important because we both found surface-level similarities in how to look at something really big. But bottom line, I love the visual world building in Girls' Last Tour. As with many videos I have made, I don't really have a thesis statement for this. This isn't even really a recommendation for Girls' Last Tour. I don't really think the characters or animation are particularly good, just the presentation. This is not a review, just an appreciation piece for a world that I was uniquely interested in. Thanks for watching. Bye.